Hey everybody, it's Adam again and welcome back to my garage. Starting to get close to summer outside. I've already had to cut the grass twice, so that can only mean one thing. It's time to get the 1987 JS550 Standup JetSki back on the lake. So if you've been following along for the past couple of years, you'll know that I've had this jet ski for a while. I've had it a total of 10 years now, and basically 3 years of learning, pain, and suffering, and 7 years of absolute fun and pleasure. It's the most satisfying experience to go out on the lake and ride one of these stand-ups. Done a couple of mods along the way, had to make a couple of fixes, I've had a couple of mishaps. But this year, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put together a pump out of the jet ski while we got some stuff up on the bench here from eBay. I'm going to go ahead and install a new impeller and a new wear ring, as well as rebuild the pump if I have to with some new bearings. And we're going to go ahead and show you how this pump goes back together, set the clearances and everything else. And then in a later episode, we're going to go ahead and install it back in the jet ski and take it out on the lake and do some speed comparisons. Come along for the ride. Let's go into some of the parts we're going to work on here. First and foremost, I've got a nice 12-ounce Oberon American Wheat Ale here from Michigan's finest Bell's Brewery. Comes out during the summertime, synonymous with summer here in Michigan. And a funny story about this, actually. When I procured this jet ski back in 2014, I traded a six-pack of Oberon for it. My buddy had it sitting in his backyard, and he says, yep, melted a piston on it a couple years ago. All the parts are there, but obviously needs to be rebuilt. And he said, just trade me some craft beer for it. And a six-pack Oberon did the trick. So next we're going to go ahead and install the outlet nozzle here onto a stator that I procured both of these on eBay. This obviously has the stock JS550 impeller on it. We're going to take a look at the bearings once we get this impeller off of here as well. And I'm also going to clean up some of the flash on these guide vanes inside here as well. There's some flash that kind of sticks up from the face of the surface here. Not going to do a full blueprinting on this, but I'm just going to clean up the flash in there. Once we get that apart, we're going to take a look at the bearings on there and see if we need to replace them. They do feel pretty smooth, no noise, but it's worth a look there anyways to see how those seals look. After that, we've got the Wax Racing stainless wear ring here, and procured that online last year, and really looking forward to see how that performs with the new Solas variable pitch 13/18 impeller. Looking forward to having a little better bite down low, and then once we get up to speed with this thing, it should help with moving the water quicker through there with the higher pitch as we go through it. And of course, got some additional shims here so we can get as close as possible for that impeller to the wear ring, and we'll use some feeler gauges and set up the clearances on that as well. Over here, just in case, I do have a pump rebuild kit with all the seals, all the bearings necessary. We'll see if we have to get into that. All right, we're going to start by removing this impeller on here. I hear these things are sometimes a bear to get off of here, but I'm confident today it'll come off real easy. Well, not exactly starting off too easy. The splines on this thing don't exactly slide in there all that nice. So I guess I got to see what the heck's going on here. Well, she's not as easy as I was expecting. We'll just have to keep hacking away at it here and see what we get. Well, I think it's time to bust out the hot wrench here. Man, oh man. I think she's going to give us all she got here. Does not want to come off. Well, guys, obviously the heat didn't work on getting it out, and with all that hacking back and forth with the impact wrench, I think I managed to get the spline stuck inside there. And of course, when I banged it off of there, this nice soft aluminum just happened to mushroom right over on this. So I think this impeller is pretty much a loss here. So what I'm going to do next, I'm just going to cut a line down the side here, see if I can break her loose that way, and then get it off. Alright, so I managed to get it to crack along where I cut down here, and we're going to go ahead and put the alignment tool back inside here and see if that's enough just to get her loose now. Ouch! Yeah, hallelujah! Alright, well, we did that at the expense of our impeller, unfortunately, and hopefully I can get this spline tool back out of here, but I think we are going to be in good shape. You know, I didn't need another impeller around anyways, since I'm taking that pump off, the stock pump off the JetSki. That'll be fine. And, you know, I kissed the threads a little bit there, but that's not too bad. I won't worry about that. Yeah, that's good enough for another, probably, I don't know, 250 years of service there. And she had quite a few shims on there. That's interesting. Man. So I probably didn't need to get all these shims, but anyways, we're just going to go ahead and check out the seals and everything on here and start going to town on putting her all back together now. Cleaning it up around here. No cracks or anything like that. Still looks in pretty good shape. The little garter spring is still around there, so that's good. I mean, honestly, this thing makes no noise. There's no roughness at all. It's very smooth. So next up, before we start to put this thing back together, we're going to go ahead and kiss the end of each of these vanes here, there's like a parting line on the end of it. You can see where they end up getting chipped on there. When debris goes through there, it just chips it off. So we're gonna go ahead and take those lips off of there. Sometimes when people do a full blueprinting of these things, they'll end up taking these parting lines and everything down inside of here. But I'm not gonna do that. Those are in line with where the water comes through. So I'm not too concerned about that. But these lips on here, I can see how those could create a bit of turbulence coming off of the vane here. Now, I can't get the bit all the way back in this corner here, so I'm just going to take a manual hand file once we knock down the tops on all these. Okay, since that went so smoothly, I think I'm going to end up knocking off some of the flash that's inside here as well. There's a little bit of flash up inside these. I'm going to do that with the manual file. But we did get all the edges down here. I just got to get those corners a little bit better around here. Alright, so we got all the high edges knocked down inside here, and there were some parting lines as well. I got those knocked down. I didn't clean this out 100%, but at least the jagged parts that are sticking out are cleaned up, and we're nice and flat along each of these blades here as well. Alright, let's start shimming up this impeller to the wear ring, and we'll see what we get. Okay, for reference here, we're going to measure the original shim pack that came out of this stator and pump with the old impeller on it. And we're just going to start out with that anyways and see what that gives us. So we're about 7.46, 7.45. Let's call it 7.45. And we're going to go ahead and put these shims back on the way they came off of this guy. And I don't know, I mean, from a depth perspective, how the Solas compares to the original impeller here, but that doesn't matter. We're just going to go ahead and put this guy on here. Just not going to tighten it really too hard, but let's just get it snug on there, and we'll do a quick test fit here with the wear ring. Okay, with 7.47, we're touching a little bit, but it seems like she's not all the way on here. And it's not really tight on there right now, but she's got clearance because you can't hear anything in there. Well, maybe a little, just a little ting there. She might actually be close. So we're going to go ahead and put a feeler gauge down in there, see what she's running right now with it just kind of hand put together here, and then we'll decide where we go next. I mean, it's just barely, it's just barely kissing there. So it might be close right there as it is. So the spec on these wear rings to impeller is 0.2 to 0.4 millimeters, and the general consensus seems to be get that gap as small as possible without actually scraping on the wear ring. And let's see here, let's go down right down to well, there we go. Okay, 0.1, 0.2, 178, 0.203. So we're going to go ahead and put this feeler gauge up inside here and see. Yep, so she's still got a bit of room there. There's still quite a bit of clearance there. That's 0.2 millimeters. Let's go up to the max here real quick. I was saying 0.4. So there's 0.406. Let's see how this guy .406, I can get up inside there still. So we got a little ways to go here still. I'm going to start out with the thickest one. This is basically a 2mm shim right here. So let's add this guy, and we'll give it another shot. Okay, oh boy, she's rubbing quite a bit now. Yeah, so that 2mm shim was a little too much. And you'll notice, guys, this is a left-hand thread. So when I'm screwing it on, it's actually going typical lefty-loosey. So that's something to keep in mind too when you're pulling this off. I kept on trying it both ways because I figured if I tightened it up and unloosened it, it eventually would go either way. And it is confirmed. It's a left-hand thread. So it gets a little confusing with the logic when you're trying to tighten this thing up. Okay. Okay, well, she's still kissing on it just a little bit there. And a little too much for comfort. So let's go to the next size. Also with this Solas impeller here, it's got some pretty sharp edges on it. So be careful when you're handling this thing, especially around this region. Yeah, okay. So that was a 1.5. Let's step her down here to, yeah, it just, you know, they tape this thing into the back. What the heck is going on here? Okay. Now this is, for all intents and purposes, a 1mm. Step her down this way here. Let's see what we got. Okay, she's just barely kissing. Just barely. That could just be a little bit of run out on the shaft, but I mean, that's not terrible. Let's see what we got for clearance in there. So we're going to start out at 0.4 again. I mean, she's right at 0.4. I wonder where it's rubbing. That might be rubbing up towards the top a little bit. Let's check the clearance back towards the back here. There we go. So that's pretty tight back there. Holy cow. Yeah, that's probably where I should be checking it actually. But she's right at 0.4, right near the back. Yeah, ooh, yeah, that's pretty tight there. So I'm going to knock her down here and see what we get. Let's go to 0.3. Yep. So 0.3, yeah, not quite up there. Let's go down to 0.2. Okay, 0.2 just requires quite a little bit of push to get it in there. Given that we hear a little bit of interference there as she goes around, I think we're going to call this good and lock her in this way. So what we're going to do now, we got to get this thing out of here. That's pretty well jammed in there from when I was working on getting the old prop off of there. We're going to go ahead and tighten this guy down on here first. So there's a special square bit that goes on the end of here. And then basically, oh, we don't want to forget to put anti-seize on there though. That's what we were planning on doing just to avoid having any season up in the future here. And I just made that mistake. Righty, wrongo, lefty, bongo. I don't know what the heck how you talk about a left-handed thread here. Okay, let's get some anti-seize on there, and then we'll get this thing torqued down. Okay, just for posterity's sake, and I'm going to wipe off some of my anti-seize. Oh, jeez. Let's take a quick measurement on our shim stack here. So 8.35. So that's where she ended up. And that's where she'll lie. Right there. All right. Okay. Okay, let's do another fit on here. That actually moved quite a bit more than I was expecting. Not rubbing there anymore. But let's put our 203 shim back in here. Well, and she's barely getting in there. Let's check out the upper end of the limit here at 0.4. Well, you know, she's not going in there at the top, so I'm just barely. It's still pretty darn close. It's got a little bit of a scrapage going on there, so you know what? We're going to call this good. It's time to get this pulled out of here, and then we're going to seal this up with RTV, and then turn our attention over to this side. All right, let's have a little chat. So this thing here, for whatever reason, this mandrel that you put in there to help you remove and tighten down the impeller, it was a tight fit into the splines up inside here. So every time I pulled it out, I had to heat it up and then pry it out somehow. So you gotta be careful with this guy. It was only really going in, you can see maybe 3-4 millimeters there. But it was enough to hold it, so I managed to pry it out. Now, when I'm measuring with the feeler gauge up around the wear ring, you guys tell me if I was doing this wrong or not. I was targeting this area right here on the back side as far up as I could get in with the wear ring around there. If I was measuring out here, I'd measure a little more clearance. If I was measuring up here, it would be much, much tighter. And when I hear just a little bit of tick, a little bit of interference on there, I got to assume it's hitting somewhere around the top of this side of the impeller over here. So I think we're good with that. What we're going to do is go ahead and RTV around here, get that nice and sealed up, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with our exit nozzle on the other side, and we're going to call it a night, and I think this thing will be pretty much ready to go. All right! So I know there are other types of RTVs out there. I'm a fan of the black RTV just because it's durable, and you know, people say it's hard to get off whenever you decide that you're going to go ahead and rebuild something again. But I don't know, I'm not planning on having this guy out in a while, and I use black on my cars for, you know, everything that I seal up on there. You just gotta use some emery cloth or whatever to get it off of there, and go ahead and flame me down in the comments if you want, but this has always worked good for me, and I'm going to continue to use the black RTV. You don't really need a lot around there, just enough to get a nice little skin in between the two halves, and it'll squeeze out anyways. It's okay if it squeezes out, that just means that it's filling into all the little crevices up inside there, and you'll get a good seal. It's not like you're looking for oil and all that stuff not to escape out of this, so I think at least holding in the water pressure, the black stuff should be durable to that. just as long as she cures enough too. So this stuff has a, what does it have? I think it's got a 24-hour cure time on it. So if I were doing this out on the beach, I would have to wait a day to ride again. But we'll let her sit here for a couple weeks before we get the ski back on the water. By the way, if you're liking the content that you see, and if you browse around the channel a little bit, don't forget to hit like and subscribe down below. The little subscribe button is over here somewhere. I really enjoy making these videos for you guys, and for the jet ski content and the BMW content, Subaru content, LS6 Sonoma, everything. I have a blast doing this, and I love to see the comments that come in, and even some of the critical comments, because I am learning right along with you guys. I won't claim to be an expert on everything, but I will claim that I want to learn as much as I can about anything. So let's go ahead and get this guy. There we go. And we got a little bit of squeeze out around there. That's good. That's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. What I'm a little concerned with is I don't hear my little ticking noise that I heard before. But I think that could be because our wear ring probably isn't drawn all the way in yet with that RTV. Right now, at least, I'll put this feeler up in there. This is the 0.4 millimeters. Let's go all the way to the top here, just as a sanity check. I mean, it's less than 0.4. I'm not able to get that in. So I think we're going to leave this just as it is here. So we're going to let that RTV set up a little bit there. And, oh, you know what? Let's take a look underneath this guy here just to see what we got going on with the grease zerk that's underneath this. Make sure that there's nothing too concerning underneath there. I mean, I look at that thing and it's, man, that's clean. It's nice. This thing must have come off of a freshwater ski here. So I'm feeling good about the bearings and the seals and everything that's up inside this pump. I think we're going to be in good shape when we get this thing back on the water. Now, we do have a little bit of RTV around here from the previous setup, so I'm going to go ahead and scrape this off, and then we'll put a bead of RTV down around inside here and put that exit nozzle on there, and we'll be good to go. So one thing I like to do when I'm laying down RTV, I like to find the part of the housing that's going together that has this ridge in it. So this had the outlet nozzle has this ridge around it, and I put the RTV right down in the corner of that. So that's right where we want it to be, because it's going to squeeze out and in when we do that. So we're going to go ahead and just lay a bead down around this side as well, and then get this guy put back together. There we go. And we'll let her sit like this for a second. Find our screws, our bolts here. And let's get those guys started. Yep. Nope. Not started. What's going on here? So with these, I would handle putting these on just the same way I do putting on a set of four lug wheels. Is basically get them hand tight first, and then you go diagonally to finish them up there. You want to make sure you got a nice even application of the pressure along all your joints here, so you don't end up this whole thing misaligned front to back. So as I'm putting it together here, one of the goals that I had here was getting this thing to where I could just drop it in when I'm up north on the beach and do a nice A to B comparison. But as I'm looking at this nozzle here, let me know, should I go ahead and put a quick turn nozzle or a smaller nozzle on there, bigger nozzle, whatever's better for getting my 1/8 of a ton frame out of the water? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what kind of steering nozzle you recommend for me here, because I might just put in a steering nozzle while it's out, rather than having to swap the one over that's on the ski right now on the beach. I honestly didn't think about it until I started putting this thing back together and see just how everything's right out here in the open. I might as well do that if I can get access at it. So again, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about steering, quick steer nozzles, whatever else. What should I do for a steering nozzle? All right, so we got them all pretty well started there, and the final squeeze, yeah, there we go. We're getting a nice squeeze out of there. You can just see the RTV coming out, and that's a good thing. And just to clean her up a little bit, you don't have to do it, but I'm just going to wipe down this RTV on the side here. And yeah, you know, it actually doesn't look any cleaner. It actually looks kind of worse. Yeah, that was a bad idea. But nobody will see it because it's underneath, so I'm not too concerned about that. All right, boys. Habemus JS550 with the Solas 1318 impeller put on it. Awesome. And we got just that little bit. Hear that? Just a little bit of a grind there, but I think we are going to be in great shape with that. I am not too worried about that at all. Oh, I forgot one other thing. So this little guy here is a cover that goes on the end of here to seal off the axle. You do have that on the other impeller there. There was an O-ring up inside there, so I'm just going to get that wetted up there and stick this guy into the end of here. There we go. All right. There we go. We got the gray smoke now, boys. That's it. Rock and roll. I can't wait to get this thing on the water. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe down below. Thank you guys for watching. Really hope you enjoyed today's video. And I'm super excited to see the A to B comparison with this impeller and the stock impeller. And ultimately, I think I'm going to turn off the rev limiter at some point as well and really crank it up and see how fast this mighty JS550 can get my 1/8 of a ton frame moving. If you want to know more about the mods on the ski or a little more of the history, go ahead and look back at my older videos. I do an introduction on it 2 years ago, and if you guys want me to do another walkthrough on it, leave a comment down below and I'll do an updated walkthrough. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Have a great summer. Enjoy your time out on the water. Take care.